Good afternoon. Welcome in State of the Tigers. Mike Hiccup here. Sean Williams going to be joining momentarily, and we're going to talk Mizzou recruiting with you guys over the next, I don't know, however long it takes, half hour, something like that. Want to remind you before we get going that as we are every week, we're being brought to you by James Carlton, State Farm Insurance in Webster Groves, Missouri. You can get in touch with James to talk about all the best options for you insurance-wise, home, auto, whatever you need. CarltonInsurance.net. On the phone at 314-961-4800. Facebook.com, Carlton Insurance will also take you there. James wants to be your insurance agent. He's got an office full of great people ready to help you do that. We do not have an office full of great people. We've just got a screen with two, mediocre, above average people. Whatever it is, we bring Sean Williams in. Sean, a strategically planned show to begin moments after Missouri gets a commitment. So tell us what you know about Dylan Williams, the three-star safety from Alabama.
Hey, we know how to maximize viewership here at PowerMizzou.com. So, no, Dylan Williams, a guy that, they brought in during the spring, and a guy that Coach Batoon has kind of offered and kind of got in on as soon as he joined the staff. So, like I said, got him in on the spring, came in for a spring practice, so made a good impression there. Obviously came in for the official visit on May 31st. And then he visited Cincinnati this past weekend, too, for an official. And I know he also had officials set with Mississippi State and Kentucky. Obviously probably not going to take those anymore. But, he also had an offer from Ole Miss as well. So, he's got a really good offer list in terms of SEC schools and Power 4 programs. But yeah, it's a guy that they really liked, and obviously Coach Batoon kind of knew him really well, just being in the state of Alabama and everything. So, kind of worked out well for Missouri.
Dylan Williams is from one of my favorite towns that we run across in high school recruiting every now and again, Demopolis, Alabama, which I know literally nothing about it other than the name. Big fan.
I don't know either, but Missouri does have another Demopolis kid on the roster, right?
Is that right?
Curtis Spiegler, his former high school teammate. Yep, offensive lineman. Yep.
There you go. Curtis Spiegler, I think redshirt freshman offensive lineman, could be redshirt sophomore at this point. I'd have to go and look. But so they had Williams in a couple weeks ago. They had Siku Smith in on a visit this past weekend. Those are really the outside of Charles Bass, who is an East St. Louis kid who's going to visit in a couple weeks. Those are the only two safeties we've seen. It seemed kind of like it was one or the other there after the visits. Seemed like Missouri was a little bit higher on Williams. They get him, but I was just looking at the scholarship chart. They took 3 safeties last year. They took 3 cornerbacks last year. This is probably going to be a pretty light class in the defensive backfield. So the fact they're taking Dylan Williams, I think, tells you that they think very highly of him.
Yeah, I think so. And I think when you kind of break it down, of course, we kind of mentioned that whenever we started talking about Williams a little bit yesterday. But yeah, I think Missouri's only losing one scholarship player this year. So
one at corner, it's more at safety, but they still have a bunch of young dudes there.
Right. And, there's been a lot of talk on our board about, where's the cornerbacks at? I don't know if they're going to take that many. They got that Mark Manfred's coming in for, he's visited. He's going to come in for an official on June 21st. That's like the only cornerback that we know of. Now, they might add another one, for that weekend. We'll see. But you got Charles Bass out there who's kind of a, safety option as well. So it seems like maybe they just take 3 secondary guys in this class, It kind of seems like that's how it's going to play out.
I think that's a pretty safe bet because you've also, hey, if you feel like you need one, you go get one in the portal in December too. If you feel like you need a guy, high school recruiting outside of the top guys has almost become, okay, we're going to recruit these guys for like 2 years, 3 years from now. And then we'll just figure out what we need for next year and go recruit however many of those guys we need in December.
Right. Yeah. It's a different way to do recruiting now. You got your priorities on high school, and then you got to, you figure out your stopgap guys as well. So.
Yeah. I want to invite you guys, questions, comments, whatever. If you want to know about a specific kid, if you got any recruiting questions, throw them in the chat there. We will get to them. And we're going to start with, I think Kyle R. asks what everybody wants to know. So this is Missouri's second commitment in 2 days. Henry Fuku, the offensive lineman from Texas. We'll talk about him in a minute. North Crowley kid, I believe. But how many commits are we going to get over the next couple weeks? So I kind of set the deadline here of not the next couple weeks. I think it's like a month from today would be July 11th, because that gets you through the June official visits.
Yep.
It gets you through all these kids who like to make their announcements and wreck July 4th for us and all that. So let's go in the next month, and let's count yesterday and today. So Missouri's already at 2. I'm just going to run through the off the top of my head. I'm going to set the number at 8.5. I haven't looked through the visit list yet, but I think a month from today, Missouri's gotten the over under is 8.5. So 6.5 more.
I think that's a good over under. You're going that the number is 8.5 for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what I'll set it at. So
Okay.
I'm saying probably 8 or 9 total.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably a good guesstimation, especially in the next month, because you're not going to expect anything in the next couple of weeks. This is gonna be one of those, like we said on the last show. It's, Missouri's swinging for the fences here, and these guys are gonna kind of take their visits. Obviously, Missouri's got a load of kids coming in on that last weekend, and they're gonna take their time making their announcements and things like that. And, we're swinging for the fences here. So you got to Missouri's kind of slow playing a lot of these guys. I say slow playing. You got to be patient here, right? So you're swinging for the fences.
It's almost like,
so,
yeah. I mean, when kids are visiting you, but then also visiting the likes of Penn State, Florida State, A&M, Oklahoma, Texas, like most of them are going to go ahead and take those visits.
Yeah. I mean, why not? The free steak dinners? Come on. Why not?
Hey, you drive a Lamborghini around Austin,
Do you just drive,
all right, so
you drive it on the streets, you just drive it around the football field. I think you do.
Yeah, let's do it this way. Let's just kind of run through the uncommitted kids that have visited the last 2 weeks and then are going to visit. We don't believe Missouri has any visitors coming in this week, but then on June 21st is their big visit weekend. So we're going to run through the uncommitted kids. We're just going to do kind of a trending forward, trending away. What do we think on each individual kid? We'll both weigh in, and then we'll come to a conclusion. Are we hitting the over or the under of 8.5 here? So I'm just going in the order. We've got them listed on the website. Brody Lennon, tight end, visited last weekend.
Oh, okay. You want me to do this trending away or trending forward?
Yeah. What do you think? Like positive, negative feelings?
I'm going to go trending away on that one, just off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm going to go trending 4 because I think Missouri gets a tight end in this class. Like, I don't necessarily know who it is. I don't know if it's going to be him.
You got the Trent Orler kid that's just supposed to come in last weekend. I know he's visited before, but yeah, I mean, you could go either way. I mean, there.
Yeah. So just for fun, I will say Brody Lennon, trending 4. Carius Kern, offensive guard who visited Arkansas last weekend, is supposed to visit LSU. There has been some talk that he is not taking that visit, but I haven't seen that officially.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one if he takes that visit or not. It's going to kind of change the perception of my answer here. Right. So I would say if he takes the visit, trending away. If he does not, I would say trending forward. So I'll just go for now. I'll go trending forward on that one.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. If he goes to Baton Rouge, I think it makes the chances less. Doesn't mean Missouri's not going to get him, but it makes it less. Right. I think if he's done now and he's ready to commit, I think Missouri gets him. Chase Lofton, tight end, visited here last weekend, visited Florida State, has A&M and Nebraska coming up. I'll go first here. I think chances are less there than maybe with the other tight ends.
I would agree. Yeah, I would say among the 3 tight ends, I would probably say, even though I said away with Lennon, I say it's more away with Lofton than Lennon.
Yeah. Andrew Babalola, offensive tackle, visited Mizzou last weekend, visited Stanford. We just learned today he also visited Auburn. He has Michigan and Oklahoma coming up. I think we're going to agree on this one. It seems unlikely.
I'm going to probably go unlikely on this one for now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stanford has been kind of the perceived favorite in this one. Okay, this is probably the easiest one on the list. Michael Fasusi, number 10 overall player in the country, offensive lineman, visited 2 weeks ago. A&M, I think, last weekend, has Oklahoma, has Texas. I might be some other ones in there.
Yeah, I think Oregon too. I don't know if you mentioned them, but yeah, as much as great job by Missouri. I mean, you got him on campus 3 times this year. But yeah, I think this one's going to be trending away.
Yeah, it seems I think he's going to end up somewhere in the state of Texas. So we are right now we're at 2 if we give him Brody Lennon thus far. Lamont Rogers, another offensive lineman out of Texas, was here last weekend. I think he was at A&M last week. Kind of the same group of schools.
Yeah.
This one, though, I think we feel a little bit better about.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of positivity there. I'm going to go trending forward on this one still, even though we weren't able to get a hold of him after his official visit to Missouri, but I think there's still a lot of Missouri momentum there. And, I mean, that's one that we kind of felt pretty positive about since he visited in the spring, too.
Yeah, and obviously, hey, every visit he takes, hey, they throw something else at him. But yeah, we felt pretty good about that one for a while. All right, this one is tough for 2 reasons. First of all, because I don't know what he's going to do. Second of all, because I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce his name. Yossi Epinesa, do we think that's right?
I think you got it right, man. Congratulations.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm 1 for 1 here. Now do we think Missouri gets it?
This is going to be tough because, it's like, well, there's the Iowa factor and all of his family went to Iowa. So I'm going to go trending away just because of that reason.
All right, I'm going to cheat here and give an answer that I did not give you the option of. We're just neutral here. We're just kind of we're treading water here.
Making this ass up as you go along, man.
if it isn't Iowa, I think it's Missouri.
I agree with that, but I just think it probably ended up being Iowa. But
yeah, it's going to be tough. I think there's a better chance than most people think that it isn't Iowa. But in the end, I think it's going to be pretty tough for a kid whose brothers and dad went to Iowa to not go to Iowa.
Right.
All right, Sean Terry, decommitted from Notre Dame, visited Mizzou last weekend. As of now, visiting Michigan this weekend. I know Kentucky's also been mentioned. Outside of Dylan Williams, he's the one I'm kind of most confident ends up at Missouri.
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of confidence on him as well, just because Missouri got him in for that visit in the spring when he was still committed to Notre Dame. And he's been pretty pro Missouri. Now I'm not gonna weigh too much into the Instagram social media positivity post official visit, but he's tweeting out a lot of Missouri stuff. He's reposting a lot of Missouri stuff since his visit. So I'd say it's trending in a pretty positive direction there.
Yeah, he's commenting on every other kid's post
Right.
about Missouri. So okay, moving on. Now, you talked to this. I literally know nothing about this guy. I don't even know if I can make a guess, but you talked to Jacob Washington after his visit here last weekend. So What's your feeling on that?
I mean, you said Missouri's a top school right now, and now so I'm going to say trending forward, but I'll also preface it by saying that he might say that on his next official. Because you never know. But he's a kid that Missouri brought in the spring, so there's a lot of positivity there, and obviously he's visited. This is the second time he's visited, so he's been to Georgia Tech already. He's been to Missouri. He's going to take the rest of his officials, which include Baylor and Michigan, I do believe. So we'll see.
Okay, so if we throw Washington in this group, right now we've got Washington, Terry, Lamont Rogers, Carius Kern, and then I gave him Brody Lennon. You may give him but a tight end. Okay, another kid who was here this weekend, I think isn't getting as much attention maybe as a lot of other people. Keaton Jones, offensive guard. I don't know as much about him. What are his other?
I think it's kind of more local with him. I think it's Kansas, K-State, or the other teams kind of involved with him. So I would probably I'd probably go with trending forward with him, and then, like Fuku and Jones would be kind of your interior offensive line commits in this class. So.
Yeah, Jones is a kid from Coffeyville, Kansas, and if that's the competition, like I'd be surprised if Missouri doesn't win it.
Yeah, there may be another school I'm missing, but I think it's Kansas State, Kansas. The local teams are in on him, trying to get him on the business and stuff. So.
Okay, so we're at 5. Javen Boggs. He's. I know he's probably one of the ones most people are wondering about. Visited UCF, is going to visit Missouri in a week and a half, is not taking any other trips. USC out, Florida out, Georgia out. A lot of people are drawing conclusions on that's good news for UCF. I think it's actually great news for Missouri.
I would agree with that.
Because he's canceled the other ones. He hasn't canceled this one. If he shows up on campus next weekend, I think he's coming here.
If he's already eliminating schools before he takes his Missouri official, and Missouri's his last official, I'd probably say that's trending pretty highly in Missouri's favor.
Yeah. All right. This was kind of tough, especially because we've already called 3 receivers to Missouri. Corey Sims from CBC. I felt pretty good about this one for a while, but starting to see, I mean, he said some great things about USC. Look, you don't put too much weight in that. I don't know who's going to take an official paid-for visit to USC and not think it's cool. But, some indications from some posts on our message board, hey, maybe Missouri not in quite as good a shape as it seemed like here. I'm going to lean trending away on this one.
I think at this point, hey, man, I put in a future cast for Corey Sims to Missouri back in the spring when I talked to him at the Under Armour camp. Said a lot of good things about Missouri. But I mean, I think at this point in time, I may have to agree with you, Gabe, on this one, just because the way things are going with Boggs. Washington just said Missouri's his top school. Sean Terry's trending towards, Missouri. I think I'm going to go with trending away for right now.
All right, next on the list, Mark Manfred, cornerback from Marietta, Georgia. Look, I don't know a lot about him. He lists 20 offers, and the only visit we have down for him is Missouri. I don't know if that's accurate or not. If it is, I don't know how you don't think Missouri's going to get it.
Yeah, he's been tough to get a hold of, so it's kind of hard to kind of read into his recruiting process without talking to him. But, yeah, I think last time I checked, and it's been maybe a couple of weeks, I think Missouri's the only visit he's plans to take during the summer. Obviously, he came in for an unofficial, I think maybe in April or maybe earlier this month. So a quick turnaround visit for him. I would say that's probably trending in the right direction. And if they don't, like I said, they're probably going to take one cornerback, and he might be the guy, so.
Yeah, he's the only one on the visit list for this summer so far. So, okay, so tight end, I gave him, I don't know, some kid earlier. I can't even remember who it is.
Brody Lennon.
Trent Euler is supposed to visit next weekend. Are you leaning that way, tight end?
I'm gonna lean toward Trent Euler, yes, because
okay.
I mean, it's kind of you can almost it's a toss up between Euler and Lennon. I'm just gonna go with Euler.
Okay, so we got 3 kids left on this list. Charles Bass, safety, East St. Louis. I think we've put future casts in for him previously. Maybe not, but I meant to at one point.
Yeah.
I think Missouri ends up with him.
I think so too. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so too. I think he's taking all of his visits, but I think Missouri end up with him.
Donovan Olugbode, I have no idea. Donovan, wide receiver. Again, there's so many guys at wide receiver. Do we think he takes the visit?
That's a good question. I could see this one probably not happening, the visit anyway. Eventually getting canceled. I mean, that really depends on how the dominoes fall. And obviously, Boggs is going to wait till July 4th, but if you get like a guy like Washington, you get Sean Terry in, you might see, hey, maybe he goes and visits somewhere else. And yeah, I think out of all the wide receivers, this is probably the one I don't think they get.
I agree. Whether it's his choice or their choice, I just think he ends up somewhere else. Last kid here, Jamarian Morrow. At one point, like we were ready, thinking it was going to happen. It didn't happen. He visited Alabama. He visited Texas A&M. What do we think?
That's a great question. I think I'm going to go away here. I think Ole Miss is going to be kind of a tough one to beat a little bit, just because of proximity and things like that. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of sticking to his guns and taking all of his officials. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. I know when I talked to him at the Under Armour camp, he originally said he was going to wait and announce his commitment like June. I think it was June 27th. I think that's his birthday. So that's probably going to be when he'll commit. So
the visit to Missouri is June 21st. I'm still going to say they end up with him. I'm still going to say he's the running back in this class. So if we run through it, we both gave him a tight end. We said yes on Carius Kern, Lamont Rogers, Sean Terry, Jacob Washington, Keaton Jones, Javen Boggs, Mark Manfred, Charles Bass. So that's 9. And if I give them Morrow, 10, in addition to the 2 they already got. So my over-under of 8.5 sucked. Like, I think the over-under should actually be more like 10.5 if we're including the 2 from yesterday.
We can reset it. This live stream is all about setting the number, man. And then we'll just let people place bets. We'll set up a Venmo fund, and they can send all their money to us. And
yeah, look, everything in the world is sponsored by gambling. We got to get some gambling person to sponsor the over-unders.
DraftKings, the sponsors. We'll set up a Venmo. They can you guys can send it to our Venmo account. We'll distribute it wisely.
Like, look, it doesn't even have to be DraftKings. If you are like Johnny Jones, who runs an illegal book out of your basement, and you want to sponsor our over-under, hey man, we're open for business. It might not turn out well for you, but I'm willing to put your logo on a podcast.
Go walk those mean streets of Columbia, Gabe, and see what we can scrounge up for.
I think it's not yet legal here in Missouri. I honestly don't gamble, but I'm pretty sure it's not legal. But again, if you are in Missouri and you are just kind of doing a down low thing and you want to sponsor our podcast and hope that nobody finds out, you just hit me up. This show is totally legally sponsored by James Carlton State Farm Insurance. He is licensed and bonded in the state of Missouri and Illinois. He follows all the rules and can get you good insurance rates. You can get in touch with James at carltoninsurance.net. You can call him at 314-961-4800. James is not worried about running from the authorities after this show airs. At least not for sponsoring the podcast. I don't want to speak for James. I think he's good. But I'll leave that to him. So we've kind of run through every kid. Let's go backwards to yesterday. Henry Fuku, like, coming into the weekend, I don't think we necessarily had him on our radar as, hey, this is a guy that we think is going to pull the trigger pretty soon. Ended up doing it yesterday. Really highly ranked 3-star kid. And one of those kids that you look at the offer list and say, if most of those offers are committable, it seems like he might be a little underappreciated.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, you kind of think about it too, like, he just took an official to Ohio State, so, comes into Missouri, and then Missouri grabs him. And I know like his other offers were included like A&M, Oregon, LSU, Florida State, Georgia. So, I mean, that's a really, really impressive offer list. And yeah, I mean, it's a guy that just kind of popped in here, and Missouri was able to grab him. So they got a really good interior lineman. And, like I said, in terms of interior linemen, I mean, the offensive line class, like I said, we're swinging for the fences here, but offensive line is kind of one of the ones that, like, you look at that list along with like the wide receiver group, it's like, that's an impressive list of kids that are coming in for officials that Missouri's in on. It'll be interesting to see how many guys they can land out of all those groups. So,
yeah, I mean, they're looking at 5 or 6, top 250-ish type guys. I mean, I don't obviously think you necessarily count on getting all of them, but if you can do some work there, that really sets the table. One more point I want to make before we get to some of your guys' questions that you put up here. And this will be true, I think, almost every year in the transfer portal era. the target is right about 20 kids in this class, I think. So they've got 8. We just picked, 9 more that they could get in the next few weeks. I think the goal is get to 16, 17, 18 by the time camp opens in early August. And then you've got like 2 or 3 spots during the season, because once the season starts, obviously you're not hosting a bunch of kids. And then come December, it's no longer bring these high school kids in December and hope to convince them. That's transfer time. Mm-hmm. This is the time you're really trying to lock up those high school kids.
Yeah, you really saw that last year, with Missouri and a lot of other places. I mean, it's just, everybody wants to kind of, now that's kind of the calendar now. Everybody wants to kind of lock in their high school kids during the summer, not have to worry about any of that, in December. Maybe, cure up a 1 or 2 more spots or whatever. But, yeah, they want to be done with the class and by the time, you start practicing in the fall. And be done with that.
I honestly think that's better for the kids too, because hey, you get it out of the way, you go play your senior season. If you want to enroll early, you enroll early, but like you're not taking 800 coaches calls every Friday morning and all that. So I think it's good for the kids. Now, the question I've always had about it, the reason I didn't think coaches would want to move recruiting up is that makes you be right in your evaluations more. Except the simple fact is it doesn't, because if you're wrong, then all you do is after the season say, sorry, man, we're wrong. You probably should hit the portal, find a place to play. When everybody's a free agent now, there's no penalty for being wrong on either side. If a kid picks the wrong place or if the coach picks the wrong kid, either one of them just says, all right, hey, this didn't work out. Go try the next place.
Yeah. That's kind of like your free out when
exactly.
That's just how it is. If you miss on a kid and he's not working out, just send him to the portal. And try to find a suitable replacement.
Like in Monopoly, there's only one get out of jail free card. Like you got to go through that whole deck to get another get out of jail free card. College football, you got to get out of jail free card after every single season, man, on both sides.
So they call it the Wild West.
Let's go through some of your guys' questions. Freeway Jared has a question, I think specifically for Sean. Why are you so low on Matt Zollers? You specifically, Sean.
I did not rank him, so don't blame me.
But by the way, I'm not sure saying he is the number 70 player in the country is low on him. The 8th best high school senior quarterback in America.
He's
7th, maybe.
Yeah, I know. There's multiple, and he just moved up.
I think what is being held against rivals here is that he wasn't rated anywhere near there for a long. Like they changed their mind on him in the past couple months. Which, hey, you can say he should have been ranked higher sooner, but he's ranked there now. So, would it have been better if they just said no? He was a 3-star, and we're not going to change our minds.
And I'll make the argument here. I mean, he was a 5.84 star, which that's the lowest 4-star rating. All right, he wasn't in the top 250. But here's the thing: during the spring, they saw him. I think Adam Friedman saw him at one camp. I don't know what it was called. It was kind of like more of a regional camp. And then he saw him. I think we saw him at the Under Armour camp, and then they saw him at Elite 11. So there's three different things they saw him at. Obviously, he got Elite 11 finals. I think he won MVP at Under Armour. So you're able to see him in person do different things in different camp settings. So it kind of raised his bar a little bit. So now he's rated properly. So.
Yeah, it makes way more sense when a ranking changes in July than like if it changes in March and it's like, well, what really changed? We haven't seen anything.
It's just called getting eyes on him in different camp settings, and he's performed really well in each setting. So, he naturally goes up. Now everybody else was a little high on him in the beginning, but I mean, I'll kind of venture to say how many of those people saw him in person play when they made those rankings? I don't know.
Yeah, and look, rankings are not perfect. It's just the opinions of some people. Like we're going to be right on some, other people are going to be right on some. We're both going to be wrong on some. I mean, half the first round in the NFL draft ends up doing almost nothing every year, and those guys get paid hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to be right. We do not. We get paid less than that to be right. So we're less right. I think that's how that works.
So, and we don't care if we're wrong.
Nathan Smith says Sean Terry's more of a shifty, like Sean Terry's more of a slot guy than an outside guy. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. Just looking at his film and just looking at his height and everything like that. I think he would, if you're going to put Sean Terry in terms of the wide receiver group, I think he's your main slot guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any possible flips from current commitments? I mean, hey, look, there wouldn't be surprises if we knew about them, but like I haven't heard of any kids who are committed to Missouri that are taking other trips right now. Have you? I mean, I think if you commit, in the spring, which most of these kids did, then it's probably now, hey, if Henry Fuku all of a sudden turns up on another campus next weekend, or if Dylan Williams goes ahead and makes his visit to Mississippi State this weekend, that could change. But
right, yeah, no. As far as I heard, nobody has visited anywhere else that's currently committed to Missouri. I mean, that stuff is kind of. I mean, I guess it does happen during the summer, but you kind of see maybe things like that happen more like in the fall or late fall or December, things like that. But yeah, nothing so far.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to get this question every time we do a recruiting show for the next 2 years. Anything new on Jackson Cantwell? I mean, honestly, guys, we're focused on the 2025 kids. Missouri feels like it's in the mix with Jackson Cantwell, but he's not going to commit anywhere for at least a year.
Yeah, he's got all the time in the world to make a decision, and dude's putting up some hella shot put numbers.
yeah, no doubt. And he's going to have his choice, man. He can go anywhere. I bet he'll visit Arkansas. I bet he'll visit Oklahoma. I bet he'll visit Missouri. And then I bet there will be 2 other schools, national name brand schools, maybe Oregon.
Yeah, I think he might visit Oregon or has visited Oregon this summer. So yeah, I mean, you visit places like that. I mean,
right. He's gonna take the visits, and man, I tell you what, that meal, you better have a big meal for that kid when he shows up, especially if his dad comes with him.
They're gonna break steak ounce records in restaurants.
Yeah. What was the issue the staff had on Jamarian Parker from Cardinal Ritter? He committed to Nebraska. They just thought other running backs were better. Like Jamarian Morrow is clearly their number 1 running back target right now, right? I mean, there might have been some other guys along the lines that
DeArmond Hill is another one they wanted. He committed to Oregon.
Yeah, but they thought those 2 guys were just better running backs, and Parker was ready to make a commitment.
It's really been those 2, and obviously DeArmond Hill. He went to Oregon, and I think the emphasis is on Morrow now. I mean, I think they did offer a kid from Texas, but I don't think he's, I haven't heard anything about him taking a Missouri official or anything like that. So it seems like it's going to be Jamarian Morrow. There might be another kid that comes in. We'll see. But I think he's the main focus right now.
Yeah, and if they don't get Morrow in the next couple of weeks, then yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe they do circle back on Jamarian Parker, but who knows? Do we feel like the NCAA video game snubbed Mizzou? Sean, it has been a long time since I played video games, and I'm not going to play this one. I'm not going to lie. So.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll play this one or I won't play it anytime soon. So I don't really know how Missouri got snubbed in this one. I just remember, I think the last time I played a video game was I fired up the old original Xbox, I don't know, 3 years ago and played some NCAA 2006. So that's all I know.
Yeah,
man.
I used to like Frisbee golf on Wii when my kids were like 10 and 6. That was fun. That's been a minute. Mike wants to know if this is a good place to complain about homecoming being an early kick. I mean, this is the internet. Mike, you can complain about literally anything you want. This is what we do on the internet. So,
no, man,
yes,
just start drinking at 6 a.m., man. It's all good.
Right. And look, for those, I posted this on our message board. Missouri would prefer that homecoming was an afternoon or an evening kick, but you don't get everything you want. Like this, I was actually having this conversation with a friend of mine earlier today. You cannot, on one hand, say, "Oh, I love being in the SEC. This money is awesome. We're so rich. We're way richer than everybody else." Guys, that money comes from the TV people. What you give up when you take that money is any ability to complain about where they can tell you you're playing at 1:30 in the morning in Hawaii, and that's where you're going to play if that's where they want you to play. Like ESPN and Fox have made the SEC and the Big Ten better than everybody else. They have paid you millions and millions and millions of dollars, and you play when they say you're going to play against who they say you're going to play. And that's just how it works, and has worked really since I want to say it was Washington and Oklahoma that took the NCAA to court way back in the mid '80s, but I may be wrong on those schools. All right, Mark's got a question. I don't know who this is. Sean, what about Kentrell Reinhardt?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about him. I'll actually try to follow up with him, but he is the 4-star running back out of Ohio that they offered recently. I know he already had some other, I think he had like 4 other officials on his docket. He said he was going to take one to Missouri, but, kids say things when they get offered and then they don't happen. So, but
Right.
I'm going to follow up with him and see what he's got going on. I know he just took an official to Minnesota. And I can't remember where else he's been so far, but I think he's got a couple others. So if he's going to squeeze Missouri in, he's going to probably have to eliminate somebody or take a midweek visit. But I'll follow up with him and see what's up.
I mean, look, I've not seen a picture of the kid. I don't know anything about him. That name sounds to me like he should be a fullback or a linebacker. Like that is just a fullback linebacker name.
Yeah, in terms of running back ability, looking at film and everything, like Morrow's kind of like, your 5'11", 180-pound back. Reinhardt's 6'2", 210 pounds. So I mean, he's more of a downhill, knock you over kind of runner. Put up some big numbers. I think he had over 3,000 all-purpose yards this past year. So I mean, he's a pretty productive running back and highly sought after. But yeah, I'll follow up with him. I know he said he was going to take an official, but like I said, he has others scheduled, and they don't necessarily – when they get offered by a team like Missouri, they're fired up, and it might not necessarily come true. So we'll see.
All right, so we caught up on all the questions they asked, so I'm going to finish up with 2 quick things here. First off, Missouri's next commitment is – we're just going to make a prediction. This is where we say things that we're not held responsible for. We're not posting these so we can say anything we want to. No, but to quote Harry Doyle, it doesn't matter. Nobody's listening anyway.
We're held responsible for the rest of the stuff we said.
Well, a little more responsible.
You asking me Missouri's next commit?
Yeah,
I'm going to go Sean Terry. Okay,
I think that's actually the answer. But since you said Sean Terry, I'm going to say Keaton Jones. The offensive guard but I actually think you're right. You stole my answer, but I let you go first, so that's my fault. Okay,
it's your fault.
Second one, again, trolling for the gambling service sponsorship here. If I set the national ranking of Missouri's class, the over-under at 15.5, is this a top 15 class in the end or not?
Yes.
I think I agree. I think it will be I maybe not by a ton, but I think it will be there, especially if you're talking about it, we said we think Carius Kern, that's a 4-star kid, Lamont Rogers, 4-star kid, Jacob Washington, 4-star kid, Yossi Epinesa, 4-star kid, Javen Boggs, 4-star kid. They've already got a few Charles Bass, 4-star kid, Jamarian Morrow, 4-star kid. So we'd be talking about double-digit 4-star.
Yeah, and I think almost all those kids are in the Rivals 250, so that's extra points. So yeah, I think you can put a top 15 class together with those guys that they commit.
And you know what? Here's how you do it. Like if it's not a top 15 class individually on Rivals, all you got to do is go find a couple kids that are rated higher somewhere else, and you can make anybody a 4-star. Like you can find somewhere on the internet, every kid is rated a 4-star. So you just say we signed 24 stars.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're going to say in the press release anyway. So
it's right. It's like when they came out with you can super score your ACT, right? Like. I got a 28 in math in 2009, and then like 3 years later, I got a 31 in English. So you just add all those up.
I'm not gonna, and I don't like bombing on other outlets, but I mean On3, I mean here's going back to the Matt Zollers thing. Matt Zollers is ranked a 4-star in every recruiting service, but On3 has him as a 5-star composite. So I don't know how that works, but you can always just go with the On3 composite because apparently that's a star higher than everybody else.
You just add them all up, add 1 star. Missouri will sign 26 stars. It will be a number 4 class in the country. That's how it works. Look, we're pandering to you guys. Sean, I think we're done for today. I don't think we have more news on the way today, but this time of year, honestly, you never know.
Never know, man.
All right, guys. Appreciate you all joining us. Once again, James Carlton, carltoninsurance.net. You can get a hold of him, 314-961-4800. Call him for all your insurance needs. James is going to take care of you. He's going to talk to you probably about Mizzou sports and all that. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us here, catching up on recruiting. We are about a month away from SEC Media Days and really getting into the teeth of SEC football. So every week we'll be here, let you know a time, and talk to you next week.